The council chamber was even more tense than before. Taman stood in the center while dozens of Korvath stared at him with their multiple eyes. Some looked curious. Most looked angry. Hera sat at the head of the council, her expression unreadable. "You have had your 3 days," Velk said coldly. "What do you have to report? Where should we aim our orbital strikes?" Taman took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide everything. "Do not fire the orbital strikes. The Vraken are not what you think they are." The room erupted in angry clicks and whistles. Taman waited for the noise to die down before continuing. "They have language," he said simply. "They communicate with each other using structured speech. They teach their young. They care for their injured. They plan for the future. By every scientific measure, the Vraken are not animals. They are people." "People who kill us," a council member shouted. "Yes," Taman agreed. "But I believe they have reasons. Not good reasons, but reasons we can understand and address." Hera raised one clawed hand for silence. "Explain." Taman activated his holographic display, showing the recordings he had made. "Watch how they move, how they coordinate, how they protect their young. This is not random violence. They are desperate." My AI analyzed their language and found repeated phrases. The burning sky. No home left. These creatures are refugees. "Refugees from where?" Velk demanded. "They appeared on our world. They are invading us." "I do not know where they came from yet," Taman admitted, "but I believe they did not choose to come here. Something drove them from their original home. Something terrible." "This is speculation," Velk snapped. "You have no proof." "You are right," Taman said. "I need more time to gather evidence, but I am confident that if we can understand their situation, we can find a solution that does not require genocide." "We are not committing genocide," Hera said quietly. "We are defending our people from an existential threat." "What is the difference?" Taman asked. "If you kill them all, they are still dead. And if there was another way, you will have to live with that choice forever." The council dissolved into arguments. Some agreed with Taman or at least wanted to hear more. Others demanded immediate action. Dalk, a military commander Taman had not met before, stood up and pointed an accusatory claw at the human. "You have wasted our time," Dalk said. "While you play scientist, my soldiers die. I say we remove this human and proceed with the original plan." "We hired him to do a job," Hera replied firmly. "He will finish it. How much more time do you need?" Another council member asked Taman. "I have called for a specialist," Taman said. "A human xenoarchaeologist named Una Choi. She is an expert in planetary catastrophes and species migration patterns. If anyone can find evidence of where the Vraken came from and what happened to them, it is her." "More humans," Dalk muttered. "Soon there will be more humans than Korvath on our own world." "She arrives tomorrow," Taman continued, ignoring the comment. "Give me 2 more days. If I cannot prove my theory, I will personally recommend the orbital strikes." Hera looked around the council, reading the room. Finally, she nodded. 2 days. But Taman Park, if you are wrong, this delay will cost lives. That blood will be on your hands." "I understand," Taman said quietly. "I will live with that if I must." Una Choi arrived the next morning on a fast courier ship. She was older than Taman, with gray streaks in her hair and eyes that had seen too many dead worlds. She greeted him with a tired smile. "So you have found another lost cause to save?" she asked. "Maybe," Taman replied. "Or maybe I am about to make the biggest mistake of my career." "That would be impressive considering your track record," Una teased. Then her expression turned serious. "Show me what you have found." They spent hours reviewing the data. Una studied the Vraken's physical characteristics, their behavior patterns, and the fragments of language Jiwan had translated. She was particularly interested in the old scars Taman had observed. "These burn patterns are wrong," Una said, examining a close-up image. "They are not from weapons. The damage is too uniform, too widespread. This looks like radiation exposure." "From what?" Taman asked. "I do not know yet. Let me check something." Una pulled up astronomical data of the local star system. What else is near this world? 3 other planets and 2 moons, Suho provided. He had been helping Taman since their expedition, and had become curious despite himself. Una scanned through the data, then stopped. "There, the 4th planet. Something is wrong with it." The hologram showed a dead world, its surface scorched and lifeless. Una pulled up more detailed scans, and what she found made her whistle softly. "This planet was inhabited," she said. "Look at these structures. Ruins of cities. And the whole surface shows signs of catastrophic solar radiation. Something hit this world hard. A solar flare? Taman suggested. More like a series of them, Una said, pulling up more data. About 40 years ago, this system's star went through an unstable period. Massive solar storms, the kind that could strip away an atmosphere and cook anything on the surface. She zoomed in on the dead planet. If the Fraken evolved here, they would have died. Unless some of them escaped? How? Suho asked. They do not have spaceships. We would have detected technology. They do not need spaceships if they can hibernate, Una explained. Some species can enter a state of suspended animation during extreme stress. If Fraken eggs were caught in volcanic eruptions caused by the solar storms, they could have been launched into space on chunks of debris. Frozen, dormant, drifting for decades. Until they crashed here, Taman finished. When was the meteor impact that brought the first Fraken? 2 years ago, Suho said slowly, understanding dawning on him. You are saying they were just eggs? Sleeping eggs from a dead world? That is my theory, Una said. And when they hatched, they found themselves on a world that was not their home. They were herbivores originally. Look at their tooth structure. But 40 years of evolution in space debris, eating whatever they could find, changed them. Made them into predators. Taman felt pieces falling into place. They are not attacking Korvath settlements because they want to. They are doing it because they do not know how else to survive. They have instincts from their old life mixed with new predator behaviors. They are confused and desperate. They are still killers, Suho said, but his voice was uncertain now. Yes, Taman agreed. But killers we created. Not intentionally, but your world is the wrong environment for them. They need different food, different shelter. Every attack on your settlements is them searching for resources they cannot find in the wild. Una pulled up more images. Look at this. The ruins on their dead homeworld show agricultural patterns. They were farmers. Peaceful farmers who grew crops and lived in organized communities. The solar flares took everything from them. Hira had been listening to their conversation through a communication link. Now her voice came through, heavy with emotion. So what do you propose? We cannot change the past. We cannot give them their world back. No, Taman said, but we can give them a new one. Or at least a part of this one. He pulled up a map of the planet. This continent, the southern one. It is uninhabited by Korvath and has different plant life that might be closer to what the Vraken need. Move them there. Give them space to adapt and survive without conflicting with your people. Just move them. Dalk's voice came through, dripping with sarcasm. How do you plan to convince predators to relocate peacefully? I talk to them, Taman said simply. I make first contact. I explain that we understand their situation and want to help. That is suicide, Suho protested. Maybe, Taman admitted, but I have to try. That night, another Vraken attack hit a settlement on the outskirts of the capital. Taman heard the emergency alarms and ran toward the sound. By the time he arrived, the defense forces had driven the Vraken back, but 3 Korvath were dead and a dozen injured. The Vraken pack was retreating, but Taman could see they were exhausted and desperate. One was limping badly. Another was so thin its ribs showed through its scales. These were not unstoppable monsters. They were starving refugees making a final attempt to find food. Tamin made a decision that would either save both species or get him killed. He grabbed his translation device and ran after the Vraken, ignoring Suho's shouts behind him. He caught up to them at the edge of the forest and did something insane. He stepped in front of them, alone and unarmed, and spoke through his translator. Stop, please, I want to help. The Vraken froze, staring at this tiny creature that had just used their language. For a moment, Taman thought they would tear him apart. Then the largest one, its scales darker than the others, tilted its head and made a sound. The translator struggled with the phrase but finally produced words. You speak the old tongue? I am trying, Taman replied, his voice steady despite his fear. I know about the burning sky. I know you lost your home. I want to help you find a new one. The dark-scaled Vraken, the leader, stared at him with multiple eyes that showed intelligence and deep sadness. Why would you help? We are killers now. Because killing you will not bring back the dead on either side, Taman said. But saving you might prevent more death. Will you listen to me? The Vraken leader was quiet for a long moment. Then it spoke one word that changed everything? Yes. The first real conversation between species happened in a burned-out building on the edge of Korvath territory. Taman sat on a fallen beam while the Vrakan leader, whom he had started calling Ember because of her dark scales, paced nervously. Behind her, 3 other Vrakan watched the doorway, ready to run or fight. "My name is Taman," he said through the translator. "I am from a world called Earth, very far from here." "I am Ember of the Last Light," the leader replied. "I remember the before time when we had names and homes. Most of my people do not remember. They were too young when the burning happened." "How did you survive?" Taman asked gently. Ember's voice carried deep pain. "The elders knew the sun was dying. They knew the burning would come. They put the youngest into the deep sleep, sealed them in the eggs of stone, and prayed to the old gods that something would survive. I was barely grown. I remember watching my family die in the fire from the sky. Then the darkness took me, and when you woke up, we were here, this green place. But it is wrong. The food is wrong. The smells are wrong. We are wrong." Ember made a sound like a sob. "We were plant eaters, gentle people. Now we kill to eat. The change happened in the long sleep. We became monsters." "You are not monsters," Taman said firmly. "You are survivors. You did what you had to do to live." "We killed the bug people," Ember said. "Many of them. We did not want to, but we were so hungry. The plants here make us sick. The animals run too fast. Only the bug people's food helps us. So we take it. And they die defending it." Taman's heart ached for both species, caught in a tragedy neither had chosen. "What if I could find you different food? A place where you could live without hurting anyone?" Ember looked at him with those multiple eyes, and Taman saw hope warring with disbelief. "Why would you do this? We are not your people." "No," Taman agreed. "But you are people. That is enough." The negotiations took weeks. Taman moved between the Korvath capital and the Vrakan den, carrying messages, building trust slowly. The Korvath Council agreed to try relocation, but only with heavy restrictions. The Vrakan would move to the southern continent. They would be monitored constantly. Any attack on Korvath would result in immediate military response. Ember agreed to the terms, but she was skeptical. "Your bug people hate us. They will not keep their promises." "Some of them will," Taman said, "and I will make sure the rest do." "How?" Ember asked. "You are one small creature. What power do you have?" Taman smiled. "I am going to live with you." That announcement caused chaos on both sides. The Korvath Council thought Taman was insane. Nari Kim tried to talk him out of it. Even Yuna, who had seen him do crazy things before, was concerned. "You do not have to do this," Nari said. "You have done your job. You found a solution. Let others implement it." "If I am not there, it will fail," Taman replied. "The Vrakan do not trust the Korvath. The Korvath do not trust the Vrakan. Someone has to bridge that gap. Someone has to show both sides that cooperation is possible. And that someone has to be you?" "Yes," Taman said simply. "Because I am the only one both sides have agreed to trust." The relocation happened in stages. First, a small group of Vrakan moved to the southern continent with Taman and Minho Kang, a human ecologist who specialized in alien agriculture. They set up camp in a valley rich with different plant species that Minho thought might be closer to what the Vrakan needed. The first weeks were difficult. The Vrakan were nervous and aggressive, still expecting betrayal. Taman spent every day working alongside them, helping them test different plants, showing them how to identify safe food sources. Minho worked to cultivate some of the plants from the Vrakan's dead homeworld using genetic samples from their memory. "It will take time," Minho explained to Ember. "But we can grow your old food here. Not exactly the same, but close enough." Ember touched one of the seedlings gently with her claw, and Taman saw tears in her multiple eyes. "Home plants. I thought I would never see them again." Slowly, the Vrakan began to change. With proper nutrition and without the constant stress of starvation, their aggressive behaviors decreased. Taman noticed they spent more time on activities that looked like the remnants of their old culture. They made simple art from stones and plants. They sang songs in their ancient language. They taught their young the old stories. One juvenile Vrakan, smaller than the others and curious, started following Taman everywhere. At first, Taman thought it was studying him as a potential threat. Then he realized it was just curious and lonely. The young Vrakan reminded him of a puppy, always getting into trouble and looking to Taman for guidance. "What do you want?" Taman asked it one day when it had been following him for 3 hours straight. The juvenile made a sound that the translator interpreted as, "Friend?" Taman felt his heart melt. "Yes, friend." After that, the juvenile rarely left his side. Ember found this amusing. "Spark of Hope has chosen you as family." "This is good. It means my people are beginning to heal." "Spark of Hope?" Taman asked. "Her name," Ember explained. "She was the firstborn after we woke. We named her for the hope that we might survive." The real breakthrough came 3 months into the relocation. A Korvath family visited the settlement, bringing their daughter Hijin. The young Korvath was fascinated by the Vraken rather than afraid. She approached Spark of Hope cautiously and offered her a piece of fruit. Spark took the fruit gently and made a happy chirping sound. Then she offered Hijin a flower she had picked earlier. The two young ones sat together, sharing food and examining each other with innocent curiosity. "They are the future," Ember said quietly to Taman. "If the young ones can be friends, maybe there is hope for all of us." Not everyone was happy with the progress. Dauk and his supporters continued to argue that the Vraken were too dangerous to trust. They pointed to every small incident as proof that the relocation was failing. When a Vraken accidentally injured a Korvath worker during construction, Dauk demanded immediate military action. It was an accident, Taman insisted to the council. The Vraken was carrying heavy materials and did not see the worker. No one died. The Vraken was more upset about it than anyone. "Accidents today, deliberate attacks tomorrow," Dauk argued. "We should end this experiment before more people get hurt." Hira was caught between the two sides. She wanted peace but also needed to protect her people. "Taman, I need you to be honest with me. Is this working? Really working?" "Yes," Taman said without hesitation. "The Vraken attacks have stopped completely. The relocated population is stable and thriving. They are learning to live here peacefully, but it takes time. You cannot erase trauma and desperation overnight. How much more time? Years, probably. But Council Leader, every day that passes without violence is proof this can work. Every friendship between our species makes the peace stronger." Suho, who had become one of Taman's strongest supporters, spoke up. "I have visited the settlement. I have seen how the Vraken live now. They are not the monsters that attacked my home. They are just people trying to survive. If we kill them now, after they have tried so hard to change, what does that make us?" The council voted to continue the relocation program, but it was a close vote. Taman knew he was running out of chances to prove this could work. That night, sitting in his camp with Spark of Hope sleeping beside him and Ember standing guard nearby, Taman felt the weight of what he had taken on. He had essentially adopted an entire species, promising to help them build a new life. The responsibility was crushing. "Do you regret this?" Ember asked, noticing his troubled expression. "Binding your fate to ours?" Taman looked at the sleeping juvenile, her scales rising and falling with her breath. He thought about Hijin and Spark playing together. He thought about the gardens growing with plants from a dead world, giving hope for a new future. "No," he said honestly, "I do not regret it, but I am scared. Scared I will fail you. Scared that despite everything, my people and yours will destroy each other." "That is wise fear," Ember said. "It will keep you careful. But Taman of Earth, I must tell you something. My people did not believe in you at first. We thought you were a fool or a liar. But you have lived with us, worked with us, treated us as worthy of respect. For this we have decided something." "What?" "If your people or my people try to break this peace, we will fight beside you to protect it. You have adopted us, but we have also adopted you. Your pack now, family." Taman felt tears in his eyes. "Thank you, Ember." "No," Ember replied, her voice full of warmth. "Thank you for seeing people when everyone else saw monsters." 6 months had passed since the relocation began, and the southern continent settlement had grown into something remarkable. The Vraken population had stabilized at 73 individuals, all healthy and adjusting well to their new home. The gardens that Minho had planted were thriving, providing food that was both nutritious and familiar to the Vraken palate. Taman walked through the settlement in the early morning light, watching both species work together. A group of young Korvath students was learning about Vraken culture from Ember, while several Vraken were helping Korvath engineers build a research facility. It was not perfect harmony, there were still tensions and misunderstandings, but it was progress. Spark of Hope bounded over to him, now almost half-grown and full of energy. She had become something of a celebrity, the friendly face of the Fraken that even skeptical Korvath found hard to hate. She chirped a greeting and showed him a flower she had found. Beautiful, Taman said, examining it. Did you show Hyejin? Spark nodded enthusiastically and ran off to find her friend. Those two had become inseparable, a living symbol of what cooperation between species could achieve. But not everyone was happy with the success. Dauk had been growing more vocal in his opposition, and his supporters were becoming bolder. They claimed the Fraken were a drain on resources, that the land they occupied should be used for Korvath expansion, that any day now the creatures would turn violent again. The crisis came suddenly, as these things often do. Taman was working with Minho on expanding the agricultural program when Suho arrived in a transport, his antennae flat against his head in distress. There is trouble, Suho said. Dauk is leading a group to the capital. They are demanding the council revoke the Vrakan sanctuary status and open the southern continent for resource mining. That land is protected, Taman protested. We have an agreement. Agreements can be changed, Suho replied grimly. Dauk has support from the industrial sector. They want the rare minerals found in this region. The Vrakan are in the way. Taman felt anger surge through him. After everything they had accomplished, after all the progress, some people still saw the Vrakan as obstacles rather than neighbors. What can we do? Hira wants you to come to the capital. She thinks you might be able to speak against Dauk's proposal. But Taman, his support is strong. I do not know if even you can stop this. I have to try, Taman said. He turned to Minho. Keep everyone calm here. Do not let anyone do anything rash. The Capitol building was packed when Taman arrived. Korvath from all over the planet had gathered to witness the debate. Dauk stood at the center of the council floor presenting his case with practiced rhetoric. We have been patient, Dauk argued. We have given these creatures time and resources. But at what cost? Our economy suffers because we cannot access valuable mining sites. Our people are restricted from their own land. And for what? To protect monsters that killed thousands of us? They have not attacked anyone in 6 months, Hira countered. The violence has stopped. Because we keep them contained and watched, Dauk shot back. The moment we relax our vigilance, they will return to their true nature. It is only a matter of time. That is not true, Taman said, stepping forward. The Vrakan have changed because we gave them a chance to change. We addressed the root causes of their aggression, starvation, and desperation. They are thriving now, not because we control them, but because we help them. You are human, Dauk said dismissively. This is not your world. Why should we listen to you about how to manage our own planet? Because I have spent 6 months living with both species, Taman replied calmly. I have seen what cooperation can achieve. The Vrakan are not your enemies anymore. They are your neighbors. They can be your friends and allies if you let them. Allies. Dauk laughed bitterly. What could these beasts possibly offer us? Before Taman could respond, a commotion at the entrance made everyone turn. Ember stood in the doorway, flanked by several other Vrakan. Beside them were Hyejin and her parents, along with dozens of Korvath who had been working at the settlement. We heard about this meeting, Ember said through a translator device Taman had given her. We have come to speak for ourselves. The council chamber fell silent. Most Korvath had never seen a Vrakan up close except in combat. To have them standing peacefully in their government building was shocking. You should not be here, Dauk said, his voice tense. This is Korvath territory. This is our home too now, Ember replied. Or so we were told. But if that is not true, tell us now. We will leave. We will find another world, another place where we are not wanted. We have done it before. Hira leaned forward. Ember of the last light, why have you come? To tell our story, Ember said. To speak truth to your people. We know you fear us. We understand. We killed your people. We destroyed your homes. These crimes are real and cannot be erased. The chamber was absolutely quiet now, everyone listening. But we did not choose this, Ember continued. We did not choose to lose our world. We did not choose to become predators. We did not choose to wake up here desperate and starving. We did what we had to do to survive, and for that we carry shame every day. One of the younger Vrakan stepped forward. It was Spark of Hope speaking publicly for the first time. I never knew the old world. I was born in darkness and cold. When I woke, I knew only hunger and fear. The big ones taught me to hunt, to fight, to kill. They said it was the only way. She looked at Hyejin, who stood nearby. Then I met the Korvath people. I met Hyejin. She gave me fruit and did not run away. She showed me another way to be. Now I know we do not have to be killers. We can be builders. We can be friends. Hyejin stepped forward too, her small voice carrying through the chamber. The Vraken are not monsters. I know because Spark is my best friend. She teaches me her language. I teach her our stories. We play together. We help each other. Is that what monsters do? Talc started to speak, but Hera raised her hand for silence. Let them finish. We offer you this, Ember said. Give us the chance to prove we can be good neighbors. We will share the land's resources with you. The minerals you want, we can help extract them. We are strong and can work in places dangerous for you. We will teach your young our stories and learn yours. We will defend this world beside you if enemies come, because it is our home now too. She paused and her voice grew softer. Or you can kill us. We will not fight back. We are tired of fighting. If death is what you decide, we will accept it. But know that you will be killing people who wanted to change, who tried to be better, who learned to hope again. That choice is yours. The silence that followed was heavy and profound. Taemin saw Korvath in the crowd looking at each other, reconsidering. Some still looked angry. Others looked thoughtful. A few were crying. Hera stood up. The council will vote. But first, I have something to say. I lost family to the Vraken attacks. My sister and her children died when their settlement was destroyed. I wanted revenge. I wanted them all dead. She looked at Ember. But Taemin Park showed me another path. He showed me that revenge and justice are not the same thing, that ending the cycle of violence requires courage, not just strength. I believe now that we can build something better than war. So I vote to maintain the sanctuary and the partnership. The council members voted one by one. It was close, terrifyingly close. But in the end, the sanctuary was preserved. The Vraken would keep their land. The partnership would continue. Dauk stood in angry silence, but he was outnumbered. This is a mistake, he said quietly. You will regret trusting them. Maybe, Hera replied. But I would rather regret trying to build peace than regret not trying at all. The crowd erupted in mixed reactions. Some celebrated. Others left in protest. But most stayed, looking at the Vraken with new eyes, seeing them not as monsters but as refugees who had survived impossible odds and were trying to build a new life. That evening, Taemin stood on a hill overlooking the settlement. Spark of Hope sat beside him with Hyejin on her other side. They watched the sun set over their shared home, painting the sky in colors that reminded Ember of her lost world. Nari Kim approached, smiling. You really cannot help yourself, can you? Adopting lost causes. They were never lost, Taemin said, scratching Spark behind her sensory ridge. They just needed someone to see them clearly. What will you do now? Nari asked. Your job is done. The peace is stable. You could go home. Taemin looked at Spark and thought about Ember and all the Vraken who called him Pack. He thought about Suho and Hyejin and all the Korvath who had become friends. He thought about the gardens growing with plants from a dead world and the research facility being built by 3 species working together. This is home, he said simply. These are my people, all of them. I adopted them, remember? You do not abandon family just because things get easy. Spark made a happy chirping sound and leaned against him. Hyejin giggled and did the same from the other side. Taemin sat there, a human sandwiched between 2 alien children, and felt more at peace than he had in years. A year later, the settlement had grown into a small city. The Vraken population had doubled through new births. A generation was growing up that knew only peace, only cooperation. The research facility was complete, and scientists from 3 worlds were studying there. The forest was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Taemin walked carefully through the bioluminescent trees, their leaves glowing soft blue in the dawn light. Beside him, Suho moved with nervous energy, his antennae constantly twitching as he scanned for danger. We should not be here, Suho whispered for the 10th time. This is Vraken territory. They will smell us. That is why we prepared, Taemin replied calmly. He had covered both of them in a chemical compound that confused most predators' sense of smell. It would not make them invisible, but it would make them seem less like food and more like part of the environment. Trust the science. Suho made a clicking sound that Taemin's translator interpreted as nervous laughter. The young Korvath had volunteered for this mission, but Taemin could see the fear in his movements. Still, Suho kept walking forward. That took courage. Tell me about the first Vraken you found, Taman said, partly to distract his guide and partly because he needed more information, the one near the meteor crash. It was already dead when we found it, Suho explained. But it had destroyed a research outpost before it died, killed 12 scientists. We thought it was some kind of space monster that arrived by accident. We were going to study the body, but then more Vraken appeared. They took the body and vanished into the mountains. They retrieved their dead, Taman noted. That was important. Animals that cared about their dead were not simple monsters. They had culture, memory, respect for their own kind. They walked for 3 hours, moving deeper into the forbidden zone. Taman stopped frequently to set up remote cameras, small devices that would record everything and send the data back to his equipment. He also scattered acoustic sensors that would pick up any sounds the Vraken made. My AI assistant Jiwon will monitor everything, Taman explained, tapping the device on his wrist. She will analyze their behavior patterns and look for anything useful. Your AI has a name? Suho asked, surprised. Of course. She is part of my team. A soft female voice came from Taman's wrist device. Thank you, Taman. Suho, it is nice to meet you. Please try not to die. Taman gets sad when his guides die. That happened once, Taman protested, and it was not my fault. You convinced him to wrestle a juvenile Titan bear. For science. Suho made that clicking laugh sound again, and Taman was glad to see him relax a little. Fear made people clumsy, and they needed to stay sharp. Around midday, Jiwon alerted them. Movement detected. 300 meters north, multiple large signatures. Taman and Suho climbed a tall tree that gave them a good view of a clearing below. Taman pulled out his observation scope and felt his breath catch. There they were. The Vraken, 5 of them, moved through the clearing with deadly grace. They were even more impressive in person than in the videos. Each one stood 4 meters tall with 6 limbs that could function as either legs or arms depending on need. Their bodies were covered in overlapping scales that looked like black armor. Multiple eyes arranged around their heads gave them nearly complete vision in all directions. But what caught Taman's attention was how they moved together. They were not just a group. They were a team. 1 Vraken took point, scanning for threats. 2 moved on the flanks. 2 more followed behind, watching their back. It was military precision, the kind of coordination that took intelligence and practice. They are hunting, Suho whispered. Yes, but watch how they do it, Taman replied, recording everything. The Vraken surrounded a large herbivore that looked like a cross between a deer and a lizard. The hunt was efficient and quick. No wasted movement. When it was over, the Vraken did something unexpected. They did not eat their kill immediately. Instead, they carefully carried it back toward their den. Food for others, Taman realized. They are bringing it home to their pack. That means there are young ones or injured members who cannot hunt. So what, Suho said. That just means there are more of them to kill us. It means they think about the future, Taman explained. It means they plan, they care for each other, they have a society. These are not mindless monsters. They followed the Vraken at a safe distance using the trees for cover. Taman's heart pounded with excitement and fear. This was the dangerous part, getting close to their den. But he needed to see where they lived, how they organized their space. The den was located in a cave system built into a cliff face. As they watched from a hidden position, more Vraken appeared. Taman counted at least 15 adults and several smaller ones that must be juveniles. The juveniles played together while adults stood guard or worked on expanding the cave entrances. Then Taman saw something that made him freeze. One of the adults was teaching a juvenile how to hunt, using slow movements to demonstrate stalking techniques. The young Vraken copied the movements clumsily, and the adult corrected it with gentle touches of its claws. Teaching, Taman breathed. Deliberate education. Suho, do you understand what this means? That they will get better at killing us? Suho replied miserably. That they are not attacking you because they are evil or mindless. They are doing it for a reason. They have goals, needs, fears. Animals with complex social structures do not attack without cause. Taman spent the rest of the day observing and recording. He noticed several things that troubled him. Many of the adult Vraken had injuries, old wounds that had healed badly. Some had burn marks that looked suspiciously like damage from Korvath energy weapons, but there were other scars too, older ones that looked different. Something else had hurt these creatures before they arrived on this world. As evening approached, Taman made a decision. I need to get closer. Place some translation sensors near the den. That is insane, Suho protested. They will hear you, smell you, see you. You will die. Maybe. But I need to know if they communicate, if they have language. Why does that matter? Taman looked at his young guide seriously. Because you cannot negotiate with an animal, but you can negotiate with a person. And if the Vraken have language, they are people. Dangerous people, yes, but people nonetheless. Suho was silent for a long moment. You are going to try to talk to them, are not you? That is your plan. You think you can make peace with creatures that have killed thousands of my people? I think I need more information before I decide anything, Taman said carefully. But yes, if there is a chance for communication, I have to try, because the alternative is extinction, for them or for you, maybe both. That night, while the Vraken slept, Taman moved like a ghost through the darkness. His heart hammered in his chest as he approached the cave entrance. One mistake, one sound, and he would be torn apart. He placed 3 small translation sensors at different locations, devices so tiny they looked like pebbles. Then he retreated as carefully as he had approached. Back at their observation post, Taman activated the sensors. At first there was only silence. Then as dawn approached and the Vraken began to wake, sounds emerged. Clicks, growls, whistles. The sounds had pattern and rhythm. They repeated certain sounds in similar contexts. Jiwan worked her magic, analyzing the audio and comparing it to thousands of known languages. After an hour, she spoke quietly from Taman's wrist device. Taman, you need to hear this. What did you find? They have language. Primitive but definite. Subject, verb, object structure. Limited vocabulary, maybe 200 words. But it is real communication. Taman felt a chill run down his spine. Can you translate any of it? Working on it. But one phrase keeps repeating. Multiple Vraken use it, always with the same emotional tone. Sadness, maybe fear. What phrase? The burning sky, Jiwan said quietly. And another phrase that might mean no home left or our home is gone. Taman, I think they are refugees. Taman sat back against the tree, his mind racing. Refugees, not invaders, not monsters. Refugees fleeing from something terrible, landing on this world by accident, trying desperately to survive in a place that was not their home. Suho, Taman said slowly. What if the Vraken are not attacking your people because they want to? What if they are just desperate and scared? They killed my cousin, Suho replied, his voice hard. They destroyed my home city. Desperate or not, they are still killers. You are right, Taman agreed. They have done terrible things. But understanding why might help us stop it without more killing, without destroying them all. My people will not accept that, Suho warned. They want the Vraken dead. All of them. Then I need to find proof that there is another way, Taman said, before your people decide to burn this entire region to ash. He looked at the Vraken den in the distance, at the creatures who had fled a dying world only to become enemies on a new one. Somewhere in this situation was a solution, a way to end the violence without genocide. Taman just had to find it before time ran out. The council chamber smelled like fear. Hera could taste it in the air as she looked at the faces of her people. The Korvath were not meant to feel this kind of terror. For 3,000 years they had lived in peace on their beautiful world. Now everything was falling apart. Another settlement was destroyed last night, Velk reported, his voice shaking. 43 dead. The Vraken are getting closer to the capital. Hera closed her 4 eyes and tried to think. They had tried everything. Weapons, traps, poison, even moving entire cities. Nothing worked. The Vraken were too strong, too smart, too fast. Every attempt to kill them only made things worse. The creatures seemed to learn from each attack, adapting and becoming more dangerous. We must use the orbital strikes, one council member said. Burn the entire northern continent if we have to. That is our home too, another protested. We cannot destroy half our world to save the other half, the argument continued, voices rising in desperation. Hera had heard it all before. Every solution led to more problems. The Korvath were a peaceful species. They built things, created art, studied the stars. They were not warriors. They had no experience with this kind of threat. A soft knock interrupted the chaos. Nari Kim entered the chamber and the room fell silent. The human woman was small compared to the Korvath, but something about her made everyone pay attention. She had arrived 3 weeks ago as a diplomat from Earth, offering help that Hera had been too proud to accept. Until now, Council Leader Hira, Nari said quietly. Have you reconsidered my offer? Hira felt shame wash over her. Asking humans for help felt like admitting the Korvath were weak. But what choice did they have? Her people were dying. Tell me about this human you mentioned, Hira said. The one who deals with dangerous animals. Nari pulled up a holographic display. A human male appeared, wearing strange clothes covered in dirt and what looked like dried blood. He had dark hair and eyes that seemed both kind and tired. This is Taman Park, Nari explained. He is a xenobiologist who specializes in what humans call problem animals. He has worked on 15 colony worlds dealing with creatures that threaten human settlements. And he kills them? Felk asked hopefully. Sometimes, Nari said carefully, but not always. He studies them first. Tries to understand why they are causing problems. Often he finds solutions that do not require killing. We do not need understanding, Velk snapped. We need the Vraken dead. Nari looked at Hira, ignoring Velk. Taman Park has never failed. Every world he has visited is still standing. Every human colony survived. That is why I recommend him. Hira thought about her options. They were running out of time. In 6 months, the Vraken had killed thousands of Korvath and destroyed 3 major settlements. At this rate, they would reach the capital in 2 months. Maybe less. Bring him here, Hira decided. But tell him we expect results quickly. We do not have time for long studies. 2 days later, Taman Park arrived on a human transport ship. Hira watched him walk across the landing platform and felt her hopes sink. He looked so ordinary, just one small human carrying a single bag of equipment. How could this person solve a problem that had defeated their entire civilization? Thank you for inviting me, Taman said through his translator device. His voice was calm, almost friendly. I have reviewed the data you sent. The Vraken sound fascinating. Fascinating, Velk repeated in disbelief. They are killing us! Yes, I understand that, Taman replied. But fascinating and dangerous are not opposites. I need to understand what makes them behave this way. Hira led Taman to their research center, where they kept all the information about the Vraken. Videos, sensor data, autopsy reports from the few Korvath who had survived encounters long enough to be examined. Taman studied everything in silence, his face showing concentration. When did they first appear? Taman asked. 2 years ago, Hira explained. We found the first one near a crashed meteor in the northern mountains. We thought it was alone. We were wrong. Taman watched a video of a Vraken attack. The creature was massive, standing 4 meters tall with 6 powerful limbs. Its body was covered in dark armor-like scales. The head had too many eyes and a mouth full of teeth that could bite through metal. It moved with terrifying speed and intelligence, coordinating with other Vraken to surround and destroy a Korvath defense post. They worked together, Taman observed. That suggests social structure. Complex thinking. Does that matter? Velk demanded. Smart or stupid, they need to die. It matters very much, Taman said quietly. Social animals behave differently than solitary hunters. They have reasons for their actions. Understand the reason and you can predict behavior. Predict behavior and you can find solutions. We already know their behavior, Hira said tiredly. They kill us, but why? Taman turned to face her. Why attack settlements? Why now? What changed 2 years ago? Hira had no answer. No one did. The Vraken had simply appeared and started destroying everything. There seemed to be no reason beyond violence. Taman spent the rest of the day reviewing data. He asked hundreds of questions that seemed pointless to Hira. What do the Vraken eat? Where do they sleep? How many are there? Do they avoid certain areas? Why did they crash here in the first place? Finally, as the sun set over the capital, Taman made his request. I need to observe them, he said. See them in their natural behavior, not just during attacks. That is suicide, Velk protested. No one gets close to a Vraken and lives. I have survived worse, Taman replied with a small smile. I once spent 3 weeks living near a pack of razor wolves on Kepler 442b. The Vraken cannot be more dangerous than that. And if you die? Hira asked. What then? Then you use your orbital strikes and burn the continent, Taman said simply. But give me 3 days first. 3 days to watch and learn. If I find nothing useful, I will tell you to fire. But if there is another way, do you not want to know? Hira looked at her council. They were desperate and exhausted. 3 days would not make much difference to their defense plans, and something about this strange human made her want to trust him. Maybe it was foolish. Maybe it would get him killed. But they had tried everything else. 3 days, Hira agreed. But you will take a guide. Someone who knows the terrain and can bring back information if you die. Fair enough, Taman said, already checking his equipment. I will leave at dawn. That night, Hira could not sleep. She kept thinking about the human walking calmly into death. She wondered if humans were brave or just foolish. Maybe both. Maybe that was why they had survived when so many other species had failed. In the morning, a young Korvath scientist named Suho volunteered to guide Taman. Hira watched them leave the capital, heading north toward the Forbidden Zone where the Vraken nested. She prayed to the old gods that they would return, but mostly she prayed that Taman Park would find what he was looking for, because if he did not, they would have to burn their own world to save it. And Hira was not sure her people would survive that choice.